Hey, okay, hold on here, Marvel. Between the Pharaoh and the Force, like in Star Wars, the Force, like in the movie that came out about a year before this, could maybe we be trying to cash in on this a little bit? Maybe just a little Welcome, I'm Kevin, and this is my commentary on comics. Now, this season is devoted to the fantastic run by Claremont and Byrne in Marvel Team-Up from the mid to late 1970s. Truly one of the best eras in comics, in my oh-so-humble opinion. Now, tighten up your web shooters, we got a good one here today, the first of a fantastic two-parter. Marvel Team-Up, number 69, Night of the Living God. Published May 1978. Writer Chris Claremont. Artist John Byrne. Inker R. Villamonte. Splash page time. It's kind of serene. You know, we have Alex Summer and his girlfriend Lorna Dane walking the cliffs of Scotland, but danger is nearby as some shirtless bad guys are sneaking up on them. You know, based on what Alex and Lorna are wearing, it must be cold out there, but these Egyptian-based thugs are out there not wearing shirts. They must be going, man, it's cold. Can't we wear a jacket? Don't our fancy hat things show off who we work for? Anyway, they attack, but it's not easy. I mean, we are talking about both Havok, one of the most powerful mutants, at least at the time, and Lorna, who is basically the female Magneto. They hold their own until a shirtless thug fires at the cliff, and I gotta think that was a miss, because you'd think he would just fire at her, but he hits the cliff, Lorna falls into the water, distracts Havok long enough for the bad guys to wrap Havok in some weird coils that seem to neutralize his powers, and they take off with him. Now, as they fly away, though, we see Lorna's hand grabbing for a rock, so we know everything's going to be okay with her. So cut to Peter Parker working late at the ESU campus. He's about to leave when he hears a ruckus. He goes to change into his costume, but first, he webs up the door so the bad guys can't get away. It sounds like a good idea. Now, unfortunately, the bad guys came in through the window on some sort of airship. And oh look, it's snowing outside. And again, these guys are shirtless, so they're probably freezing to death. I mean, really, they must be catching a cold. I don't know how they're managing to pick locks, assuming that's what they're doing. Their hands have to be shaking from freezing to death. So Spidey sees that they are flying away, and he bursts into the room to stop them and gets trapped in his own webs. Now, I really kind of like this. It's just more proof that things just don't always go great for Spidey. As a matter of fact, it usually never goes great for Spidey. He does manage to get a spider tracer on the bad guy's flying car, so it's not all lost. Meanwhile, Lorna gets to a phone trying to call the X-Men, but they aren't home, which also worries her because apparently Cerebro, the X-Men's mutant detecting device, apparently acts like an answering machine, and it didn't answer either. That's weird. You have this thing that can detect mutants all over the world, and they also use it as an answering machine. Odd. So she calls the next best thing the Beast, who is an Avenger these days, and my all-time favorite character from this era. He hops out, leaving Thor wondering what is going on, but what is going on? Well, this is just another one of the great things about Marvel Team-Up. Here we have a small cameo of the Beast, which leads to X-Men 111, where he finds the X-Men trapped in a circus, which then leads to a very long and fantastic X-Men tale. Man, I really want to go back and read that, but hey, let me finish this first. So Spidey catches up with the Egyptian thugs and discovers Havok being held prisoner, but I don't actually think Spider-Man knows who he is. So after releasing him from his bonds, Havok goes to town on these bad guys, mainly because he thinks they killed Lorna. Now remember, he didn't see Lorna's hand coming out of the water. He was trapped in a spaceship or whatever. So Spidey and Havok make, again, short work of these thugs, only to meet their boss, the Living Pharaoh. I really didn't know much about this guy, and I still don't know much other than what he changes into, which we'll get into in a moment. But I did do a little research. He's a mutant with the ability to absorb and redirect cosmic energy, which certainly explains why he's after Havok, who generates his own cosmic energy. So they fight, and one of the shirtless thugs manages to get an ankh around Havok's neck, which somehow makes Havok helpless. I guess the ankh was magic, but it's never really explained why it can do this to Havok. But hey, it's comics. So the thugs carry Havok to some encasement that they lay him in, telling him that it will amplify his own powers and broadcast it to the Pharaoh, but they can't close it. because Spidey is still there, by the way, and holds it open with his webs. He is a bit beat up from the blast. He got blasted by Pharaoh earlier, but of course, that doesn't put Spidey down. He just fights on. The living Pharaoh shows up wearing this thing. He and Spidey fight, and Spidey knocks him toward the encasement where his body snaps the webbing that was holding the door open, and thus it closes, and Havok's power is amplified, fed to the Pharaoh, and then he becomes the living monolith. And by golly, that's a cliffhanger ending if I have ever seen one. So I'm Kevin, and that was my commentary. This is another good one, and I love a fun two-parter. I probably didn't note it too much when I read this the first time, but looking back and knowing where the Beast was going in his brief 4 or 5 panel appearance in this issue is really cool, and once again shows how tight the Marvel Universe was back in the day. Now obviously having the same writer, Chris Claremont, on both this book and the X-Men book didn't hurt, but still. Plus, we got a couple panels of Thor, and guess who is in the next issue? That's right, it's Thor! So you mustn't miss our next episode so you can see how this turns out, unless, you already read it. I mean, the book is about 40 years old, so it's very possible. But at any rate, it spoils it if you think I'm just talking about it. Any rate, until next time, do that like, subscribe, and thumbs up thing, why don't you? And make it a great day, and I will see you.